the buzzwords for me are frequency and vibration, frequency and vibration. I could talk about it all day long. Um,
Absolutely.
for people that don't really get that concept, I'm like started to just in the last 6 months, I would say, to a year, started sprinkling it into my keynotes because I'm like, this is what I'm into. This is what's resonating with me. Let me throw it out there and see what happens. And sure enough, the last few big keynotes that I've done, people come up to me and they're just, usually a handful, and they're like, man, when you talk about vibration and frequency, it's like, I get it. I get what you're saying. And you could just tell that there's certain people that are learning this stuff. And maybe it's through social media, maybe it's through books or a lot of the speakers that you mentioned in the beginning. But what would be like the 101 of frequency and vibration that you can share with us?
Well, I teach a intense workshop called
Ooh,
Energy Transformation Awareness. We call it
great.
ETA, which is also, estimated time of arrival on yourself. And it's a very deep emotional process where we start to recognize and unravel our conditioning and unraveling, in that we get to see our vibration of the past and how our vibration in the current state is probably more closely, if we feel stuck, it's probably more resonating to our childhood consciousness and vibration. And so how do we break out of that? So there's a series of, I'm doing a workshop in November around this using yoga principles to how do we move the energy in our body. So first we need to know how to experience the energy. We need
Mhm.
to, like you said, your practitioner said, how does hustle feel in your body?
Yeah.
So that would be the first step. Ask, how does it feel to talk about whatever you're talking about in your body? And
Mhm.
really become aware. Oh, I get a headache, or oh, it's really exciting, or I get a forward feeling, or I get a feeling. We really identify, how is this manifesting in your body? Because
Right.
however it's manifested and experienced in the body, that's how it's going to show up outside. So
Mhm.
if it doesn't feel good in the body, we definitely want to go, oops, hold on. Let me find some better language around that. Let me find some better uh, stories around that. Let me weave a new tale for myself, aka affirmations, which I don't believe in saying affirmations just willy-nilly. I
Right.
think we need to really go through a deep process of creating affirmations that cause resonance in the body.
Mm.
So, it's really it's paying attention to, like, where am I at? How does this feel? Does this feel right for me? It could be right for 8 billion people on the planet and not be right for you, which means it's not right for you.
Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. All of this is so much to think about. And
Endless.
yes, when I think of Dr. Joe's work and what really resonated was picturing that every thought, every word has a vibration, and a vibration makes a wave, and the wave has a frequency, right? So
Yep.
every word that we're saying, every thought that we're thinking, then will cause a feeling, and that feeling is going to just spread out into your universe.
Yep.
So we have so much power to transform ourselves, our lives, and even have an impact on the world than we
Absolutely.
even can imagine. It's
Yeah.
I think it's about making the choice that, like, do I want to be active? Do I want to be proactive in the creation of my future or not? And
And I
most
think,
people, yeah.
yeah, I think what gets in the way for people is that they don't want to see what's not working for them. Everybody
Mm,
wants to jump into the outcome.
hmm.
But what that does is, if we try to jump into the outcome, we're not taking care of, like, we're not doing the cleanup of the past vibration. So we got to get really honest with ourselves of, like, ooh, I have a very limited belief system around this.
Mhm.
Or, ooh, I have a very competitive nature. So, ooh, how do I smooth that out for myself? Or how do I make that work for me in a way that feels good?
Right.
So we have to get really honest. And I think a lot of people want to skip that part because that part is
Mhm.
sticky. It
Yeah,
doesn't feel good. It's emotional too. And when we want to transform, what do we want to do? We want to skip the negative emotions.
of
I
course.
use the negative emotions. I think all negative emotions, I visualize them as if they're coal. So I don't know if you've ever, like, held a piece of coal, but coal, when you touch a piece of coal, it gets black soot everywhere. Like you can't be around it without it starting to like stick to you. So negative emotions, or, and I really prefer to call them unfavorable emotions, because negative makes us think they're bad emotions, and they're not bad. They just are not the ones we want. So when these unfavorable emotions are like coal, they get dirt on everything. They make everything seem so sticky. But under the right circumstances, AKA, say, a fire, if we put coal in a fire, that will make a steam train go. So I use the visual of like, if I use my negative emotions or my unfavorable emotions in a good condition, under the right conditions, I can then power transformation. So,
Wow.
we all talk about like, you've got to think positively, and I'm 1,000% that, but we can't genuinely think positively if we have unconscious residual negative core beliefs. It makes it so much harder. So we've
Yes.
got to look in the past to catapult us into the future.